In 2016, Meghan Markle gave one of the cleanest quotes of her acting career. She told an audience in Atlanta that $100 candles were, in her words, obnoxious. 10 years later, her own website sells 4 candles and a single box of matches for $256. That is not just a small hypocrisy, that is the first clue in a much bigger story. Because something just happened to her business that the receipts can no longer hide. One name, one fate. And the numbers are finally in. In the next 15 minutes, we will walk through the new YouGov polling from the first quarter of this year, the Similarweb traffic data for her shop, and what Netflix did in March. 3 separate sources, one direction. We will show what these numbers actually say, what most channels missed, and what they signal for the months ahead. To understand why these numbers matter, we have to remember what Meghan promised when she left royal life. She told the world she was going to build something for herself. Something independent, something that would speak louder than any tiara ever could. For the first 3 years after Megxit, the strategy looked like media. Netflix paid the couple a reported $100 million in 2020. Spotify followed with their own deal. There was a memoir called Spare. There were documentaries. There was a Netflix series called Polo. There was even a podcast called Archetypes that won an award and then quietly disappeared. Then in 2025, the strategy shifted. Meghan launched a lifestyle brand. First, it was called American Riviera Orchard. Then it became As Ever. The product line was small: jam, tea, honey, wine, crepe mix, scented candles, items you can buy in almost any grocery store in America for a fraction of the price. But Meghan's pitch was never about the jam. The pitch was about her. Buy the jam, and a piece of her California life lands on your kitchen table. Buy the candle, and a moment from her home arrives in yours. Buy the brand, and you buy her. That choice mattered because it meant the brand would rise and fall with one thing: her public reputation. Most lifestyle brands try to separate the founder from the products. That is why Goop sells supplements you have never heard of from labs you cannot name. The founder is the hook. The product is the business. The two are kept slightly apart. Meghan did the opposite. Every product carries her story. Every label echoes her voice. There is no buffer between the woman and the brand. There never was. That was the design choice. Now look at where that choice has landed her in the first half of 2026. The Netflix show ended. The Netflix Consumer Products Partnership ended. The first major round of independent data is now out, and the numbers tell a story. Most channels are reporting in pieces, but never connecting. So let us connect them. Let us start with the YouGov polling, because that is the headline number most channels are running with. Some channels are running with a frankly misleading version of it. YouGov America polls a rolling sample of around 1,300 Americans every quarter. In the third quarter of 2025, 37% of Americans said they liked Meghan. 22% said they disliked her. That gave her a net rating of plus 15. In the first quarter of 2026, the numbers shifted. 29% said they liked her. 27% said they disliked her. That gave her a net rating of plus 2. Now, you may have seen this reported as an 87% collapse in approval. That number is technically true if you treat the net rating as the only measure, but it is not the honest framing. Here is the honest framing. The people who like Meghan dropped by 8 points in 6 months. The people who dislike her rose by 5 points in 6 months. Net change, 13 points down in 2 quarters. That is the number that should worry her team. Because 13 points down across 2 quarters of a rolling tracker is not noise. That is a trend. Now here is the receipt most channels skipped. Similar web traffic data for the As Ever website. And the timing is what matters, not just the total. In December of 2025, the site received around 246,000 total visits. Of those, about 108,000 came from the United States. In January of 2026, total visits actually rose 268,000, but here's the part you have to look at. American visitors in January dropped to about 89,000. The total went up, the American share went down. That timing matters because it means the US audience pulled back before the global traffic did. By April of 2026, total visits had fallen to 178,000. American visitors had fallen to roughly 61,500. from 108,000 in December to 61,500 in April. That is a 43% drop in American website visitors in 4 months. Most channels reported the total drop. The total drop is the smaller story. The bigger story is that her home market started leaving first. Her home market, where the show was launched, where the brand was launched, where her popularity polling was tracked, where her PR strategy was aimed. Her home market got tired first. That is the receipt you do not skip. If you want the receipts other channels skip, the like button genuinely helps this reach more people. Now let us add the third source. Because 2 data points is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. On March 6th of 2026, Netflix officially ended their consumer products partnership with As Ever. The same Netflix that had positioned As Ever as a tied-in launch with her lifestyle series, the same Netflix that had not renewed with Love, Meghan past season 2, the same Netflix that had given away, according to a Page 6 source, truckloads of her product to their own employees after the show wrapped. Both sides released polite statements. Netflix said they were glad to play a role. As Ever said they were grateful for the launch year. Meghan, the statement said, would continue independently. In public relations, when both sides release matching polite statements, that is rarely a celebration. That is a separation script. So let us line up what we have. YouGov says her American popularity is in trend decline. Similarweb says her American website visitors led the decline. Netflix says, as of March, we are stepping back from the consumer side of the business. 3 separate sources, 3 separate measurement methods, 1 direction. This is the pattern that most channels are missing because they are reporting each story alone. 1 name, 1 fate. And here is the part most channels has missed, even when they had all 3 receipts in front of them. The pattern is not random, the pattern was built in. Remember the design choice we walked through? Meghan tied the brand to herself. She did not just put her face on the products, she put her name, her voice, her home, her family, Emily, her life story, her California persona, and her political signaling on every label and every product page. That meant when her popularity rose, the brand would rise with it, and when her popularity dipped, the brand would dip with it. There is no insulation layer, there is no separation, there is just Meghan on every jar. So when YouGov shows her popularity sliding, you do not just have a popularity story, you have a product sales story. And when Similarweb shows fewer Americans visiting the website, you do not just have a traffic story, you have a brand attachment story. To be fair, there is a counter argument worth making, and we should make it. First, no lifestyle brand makes steady money in year 1. Goop took years. Honest Company took years. Reese Witherspoon's Draper James took years before it found its footing. A 12-month launch arc is not a fair window to judge any new brand. Second, a net rating of +2 is still net positive. 29% of Americans still say they like Meghan. That is roughly 1 in 3 Americans. In an age of polarized opinion, 1 in 3 is not nothing. Third, the Netflix split was framed by both sides as amicable. It is fair to assume there were creative reasons, financial reasons, and timing reasons beyond what either party shared in public. We do not have the full inside story. Fourth, Similarweb traffic data is an estimate, not a sales figure. The brand has never released its sales numbers. Web traffic is one input, it is not the whole picture. These counterpoints are real, they matter, and anyone running honest commentary on this story should hold them in mind. But here is what the counterpoints do not change. They explain why the pattern is happening. They do not erase the pattern. She did not build a brand, she built a mirror. And mirrors crack when the woman standing in front of them changes. A brand built on one person's name will rise and fall with that one person. That is the choice she made. That is the design she signed. In her best year, that design works in her favor. In her worst year, that design works against her. There is no setting in between. There is no neutral position. The brand is the person, and the person is having a hard year. For 30 years, the smartest celebrity entrepreneurs have built brands that could survive a bad press cycle. They built buffers, they built layers, they put other faces on the box, they put other names on the label. They knew that the founder would have bad months and the business needed to live through those months. Meghan built a brand that has no buffer. So now, in a bad year, the brand is taking the hit directly. That is not a tabloid take. That is what the YouGov data shows. That is what the Similarweb data shows. That is what the Netflix exit shows. And that is what most channels are still missing because they are running these stories one at a time. They are not lining them up next to each other. They are not naming the design choice that connects them. So we are naming it one name, one fate. So here's the question I want to put to you. If you were running her team in 2023, would you have advised her to put her name and her face on the brand the way she did, knowing that her popularity could swing in any direction? Or would you have built it with a buffer, with other voices, with a brand identity that could survive a hard year? Tell us in the comments. The receipts are public. The choice was hers. Was it the right one? Subscribe so you do not miss what this pattern does next.